They panicked because you stopped hiding, because for a long time, they were comfortable with the version of you that doubted itself. They built confidence on the idea that you would never fully step forward. And then, you did. They labeled you as quiet, reserved, humble. Some called it weakness. Others called it potential, manageable. You didn't interrupt their narratives. You didn't demand space. You didn't challenge the roles they assigned you. You stayed in the background, and that made people comfortable. They never asked what it took to stay that calm. In a world that kept testing you, they never wondered how much discipline it takes to not react. What they never saw were the nights you went quiet because speaking would have cost you your peace. They never saw the restraint it took to not correct people when they misunderstood you. They never saw the internal battles you fought alone without witnesses or applause. Every moment you didn't respond was a moment you chose growth over ego. But to them, it just looked like nothing was happening. The day you stopped shrinking, the shift didn't come with a dramatic announcement. There was no speech. You simply stopped adjusting yourself to make others comfortable. And suddenly, the same people who ignored you started watching closely, not because you became someone else, but because you finally allowed your full presence to be seen. That's when the panic started. Why IT felt like a malfunction. They say the internet broke. As predictable, quiet, non-threatening, easy to categorize, and when your true identity appeared, their internal systems couldn't process it. So they recalibrated. Not because you lied before, because when someone knows who they are, they stop asking permission. And people who benefited from your uncertainty don't know how to exist around that. Your presence became a mirror, and not everyone likes what they see reflected back. When silence is misread, they called your silence weakness. But silence is often strategy. It's observation, it's data collection, it's emotional regulation. You weren't quiet because you lacked words. You were quiet because you understood timing. And when you finally spoke, every word landed heavier because you hadn't wasted any. The humility they misunderstood you were humble, because arrogance is loud and fragile. You didn't need to announce your strength. You didn't need to prove your intelligence. You let results speak. But people who confuse noise with power never understand restraint. So when your true identity surfaced, they felt exposed. The moment respect shifted, something changed. The moment you stopped explaining yourself. You didn't chase validation. You didn't correct every rumor. You simply stood. And suddenly, the energy in the room shifted. People spoke differently around you. Moved differently. Watched their words. Not because you demanded respect, but because your frequency changed. The awakening they didn't expect. This wasn't an announcement. It was an awakening. You didn't say, "This is who I am now." You showed them who you had always been. And that realization hit hard, because it meant they'd underestimated you the entire time. Why powerful people got nervous. Power recognizes power. And the moment you claimed your identity, people who once overlooked you felt unsettled. Because quiet strength is harder to manipulate. Because self-aware people don't follow scripts written by others. Your growth disrupted their comfort. The unseen protection there is something about people who survive silently. They develop an inner protection that doesn't react emotionally. It observes, calculates, responds only when necessary. That's the protection they felt when you stepped forward, not aggression. Precision. Why they call IT dark, people call what they don't understand dark. But darkness isn't evil. It's depth. It's mystery. It's power that doesn't need to explain itself. Your identity felt dark to them because it wasn't accessible. And inaccessible things make insecure people uncomfortable. Modern loneliness, ancient strength. You didn't grow like this in a supportive environment. You grew in isolation, in misunderstood seasons, in quiet rooms, in moments where no one checked on you. That kind of growth creates something ancient, something unshakable. Why this hit people today? Because so many people are silently surviving, smiling online, breaking privately. Your story felt familiar. It spoke to the ones who were overlooked, dismissed, underestimated. People didn't just watch. They felt seen. The internet reaction comments flooded in. This hit hard. This is exactly my life. I felt this in my chest. Not because it was dramatic, because it was real. Truth spreads faster than noise. Why this was only the beginning. The identity reveal wasn't the destination. It was a threshold. You didn't arrive. You activated, and now, every step forward will expose stagnation around you. The ongoing evolution, some people will fall away. Others will try to reconnect once they realize your value, but you won't chase. You've outgrown that phase. Growth changes access. The price of being seen. Being fully seen comes with isolation. Not everyone can meet you where you are now. And that's okay. Power requires solitude. Why you don't explain anymore? Because explanations are for people who misunderstand you. You're no longer available for that role. Your energy speaks first now. The final realization, they didn't lose you. They lost access to the version of you they could control. The quiet after the storm, everything settles. The noise fades, and you remain grounded, clear, untouchable. Final line, this was never about attention. It was about alignment. And once you align with who you truly are, nothing stays the same. Because some awakenings don't announce themselves. They simply change the room. Why this was only the beginning. The identity reveal wasn't the destination. It was a threshold. You didn't arrive. You activated, and now, every step forward will expose stagnation around you. The ongoing evolution, some people will fall away. Others will try to reconnect once they realize your value, but you won't chase. You've outgrown that phase. Growth changes access. The price of being seen. Being fully seen comes with isolation. Not everyone can meet you where you are now. And that's okay. Power requires solitude. Why you don't explain anymore? Because explanations are for people who misunderstand you. You're no longer available for that role. Your energy speaks first now. The final realization, they didn't lose you. They lost access to the version of you they could control. The quiet after the storm, everything settles. The noise fades, and you remain grounded, clear, untouchable. Final line, this was never about attention. It was about alignment. And once you align with who you truly are, nothing stays the same. Because some awakenings don't announce themselves. They simply change the room. They panicked. They didn't panic because you changed. They panicked because you stopped hiding. You didn't become powerful. You just stopped shrinking. And that broke everything they thought they knew about you. Silence was the strategy they called your silence weakness. But silence was strategy. Silence was discipline. Silence was protection. You weren't quiet because you were afraid. You were quiet because you were preparing. Why they got nervous? Powerful people didn't get nervous when you spoke louder. They got nervous when you became clear. Because clarity can be controlled. They benefited from your doubt, let's be honest. Some people benefited from you doubting yourself. They relaxed when you stayed small, and now they're panicking because you didn't. Calm is not weakness. Calm is not weakness. Calm is what happens when you've survived chaos and refused to let it change you. This wasn't an announcement. This wasn't an announcement. This was an awakening. You didn't tell them who you are. You showed them who you be. Always be, and the internet didn't break. The internet didn't break. Their mental image of you did. And now they're recalibrating because they were wrong. Why you don't explain anymore? You stopped explaining because explanations are for people who already misunderstood you. Your energy speaks now. Unseen protection. You carry protection that doesn't shout. It observes. It calculates. It responds only when necessary. That's why your presence feels heavy. This is only the beginning. This wasn't the destination. This was the threshold, and everything after this will expose who stayed stagnant. Thanks for watching my channel. Subscribe for more amazing content.